Hello, everybody. This is Ty Guy Can Fly, CEO of Tile Laboratory. Today, I've decided to record these preparations for Tile Laboratory's newest project, Project Cerebro. Now, here is the core idea of Cerebro. Cerebro is not a kid or a kind intelligence demonstration, but is a computer. Just like a computer, there'll be windows the user can choose from to show on the display. There will be a virtual pet named Bro, who will be a very simplified kid program. Now, these are the expectations of functions for Cerebro, what exactly I want Cerebro to do. First off is the interface, what the user is going to see, and that will be a display. This is a giant screen where the windows will be displayed, and a loading bar. The loading bar is going to be like an animation showing just like redstone lamps slowly growing up like a normal loading bar does as the main windows are going to be popping up. Now, another thing I forgot to add here, which I'll add now, is a console, something where the user gets to like push buttons and stuff. Like it's going to be like their keyboard. Um, let's see, where the user will select a window. There we go. Now, the window specifically will be a virtual pet, which is called Bro, standing for Buddy Ready for Operations. Based on how long the window has been running versus when it is turned off, that's going to be the main function of this virtual pet. So the virtual pet will show happy if the window has been running for a long time. So like as Bro is on. Neutral is like somewhere in between happy and sad, where it's like showing that it has been turned on recently, but hasn't been turned on like in a while. And sad is when the window has been turned off for a really long time. So if you were to turn on Bro and you were to see that it's sad, it means it hasn't been operating in a long time. And that's going to be, I guess, in the main parts section of this, I'll go over that. I might be adding a feeding mechanic to quicken the mood of the pet. So maybe you could feed it items it likes to quicken its happiness to go up. The next window I want is a clock. Now, there are three different types of clocks I could conquer here. One would be advanced, which will tell the phases of a clock. You and I are going to learn together if a comparator can compare the phases of a clock. Intermediate will tell day or night, and night starts once the player can go to bed, and day starts once the player can no longer go to bed. I want the clock to tell exactly when those two things happen. An amateur is tell day or night based off of a daylight sensor with no extra tuning. So the reason why in intermediate it's a little bit more complicated is because daylight sensors cannot and do not have a specific wavelength that indicates you can go to bed. It's like it's very close, but not quite. So I need to add an extra timer into this system. And intermediate, I'm pretty sure we can tune it down just right. But if all else fails, the amateur way is the easiest. It's literally just a daylight sensor, and that's it. Next is the moon phase. Now this one may sound complicated. However, I have built this clock before. It will follow the measure of time as explained above. So for instance, a daylight sensor, the second that the day starts in the first instance of redstone being fed through the system, the moon phase meter will change by one movement. So the moon in Minecraft is a linear function, meaning that there's no randomness to it. It's a very simple pattern, and you can kind of look at it as like a 10-second timer with like 10 different intervals that just repeats on itself. And that means I just simply have to make like a 10-way clock. Of course, I can't remember how many phases of the moon there are in Minecraft, so I'll have to do that, but it's a very simple thing to make. Now, next is to tell the weather. This one might be a little too advanced, but my general idea is to tell the weather, whether it's clear, raining, or thunder outside. Now, I was thinking a daylight sensor should know once it's done raining based on full light of day. Then this can reset. Uh, the problem with this, though, is that it will assume that it's raining, even though, let's say, it stopped raining in the middle of the night. It wouldn't be able to tell. So maybe I should have, if we end up going through the advanced clock and the daylight sensor, then it should sense the change, the sudden change of redstone being fed through the daylight sensor and notice, oh, it must be clear weather. Now, the hardest part is determining uh, rain versus lightning. So I have here that I might use a lightning rod. Now, a lightning rod would obviously get struck by lightning and be like, oh, if it gets struck by lightning, of course it's thunder outside. But the problem with that is it could start raining instantly, and we won't know until the lightning rod gets struck with lightning. And who knows how long that will take. But no matter how I go about this, it'll be just as predictable as a real, yes, this window will be just as predictable as a real meteorologist. So, but we'll see. We'll mess around with this soon. And these are the things what Cerebro shouldn't do, and that is be over-engineered. I don't want it to be so bulky and slow. It should be compressed and fast. And I also don't want it to have a distinct personality. It is a computer after all, and not a true kid program. Let me go ahead and get rid of those dots. So, of course, the virtual pet, um, bro, I guess you could call a kid, but it's Redstone is going to be so simple, like I almost don't want to call it one. All right, so those are the expectations. Let's go over the basic parts based off of these expectations. So here's the necessary parts that we need. Number one, we need the display. Now, this display should be completely customizable. Every single pixel on it should be able to turn on or off independently from others. This is different from my kids' programs. My kids often have parts of their display connected together without any freedom. Like if one turns on, the other has to turn on. And also, not every redstone lamp or copper bulb or even piston on those displays are being used. So it's just like empty blocks serving no purpose. But it's all to give the illusion of a face. But because I want Cerebro to show the phases of the moon, to show the time of day, to show whether it's clear, rainy, or stormy, it's going to have a complete customizable display. And with that, I normally do a 1 by 1 pixel. That means one block equals 1 pixel display. And that is simple to do with my kid displays because if one's on, the other's on. But it's really difficult and very big, uses a lot of materials to make a working 1 by 1 pixel display. So I might use a 2 by 2 pixel display. That means that there would be 4 pixels or 4 blocks per pixel. This way I can easily have access to every single pixel with probably like 5 or so blocks away from the actual screen of the display. Next is the loading bar. The loading bar is going to be so easy. It's just a preset animation that plays every input and stops once data has been retrieved. We'll go ahead and Like that one will be so simple, it might be one of the first ones we make, just so that we can fine tune it. The memory bank, this will keep track of the attention meter, or in our case, for bro. So it's going to be a simple hopper clock while it moves items from one hopper to the other and vice versa when turned off. Very simple. This one, I already have it in my head how it works. It's so easy. Okay, next is the clock. This is where most of my time is going to be in, like fine tuning and things. So this will keep track of all time related functions. There'll be a daylight sensor and a nightlight sensor. So I'll have two of those operating. A clock comparator, if possible. We'll go over that pretty soon. A moon calendar system, which I have created before, so I might shrink as much as possible. A rain sensor, I was thinking about using how cauldrons can collect rain, so I might use that. Or we can keep track of the time, and again, if it's raining, then there's less light in the day. So if the day is at its brightest point, then a daylight sensor will send out its highest redstone signal. But if it's raining and the day is at its highest point or its brightest point, it's actually dimmed a bit. So we can relate the daylight sensor knowing that it should be bright outside, but it's not, must be raining. So that I have those two things. I would prefer the cauldron one, but the cauldron will be similar to the lightning rod, where it's a random chance that it will pick up rain. And I don't even know if that's possible. I believe it's so. I guess we'll experiment. And of course, that's the whole plan of this. I personally don't like looking up YouTube videos on mechanics in Minecraft, and I like to learn as I go. And as I go, I come back to this sheet and I switch things up and come brainstorm new ideas. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump into Minecraft. We're going to go ahead and create a new world. We're going to have this be just a super flat world, and we'll call it Cerebro testing. I hope I'm spelling Cerebro right, even though we've seen it time and time yet. Okay. Let's do the advanced settings, flat world. Oh, by the way, yes, I am playing on Bedrock Edition. And the reason for that is because I like to play with my family. And my family all doesn't have a computer of their own and requires, like they all have just video game consoles. And we know that Java Edition requires you to have a personal computer in order to play. I am like the only one in my whole family that has their own desktop. So, but Bedrock Edition can be played anywhere. Let's see, we'll go ahead and activate cheats, have it always day. No mob spawning, griefing, entities drop, weather cycle. Won't do that. So let's see, that should be everything. Now back to what I was saying before about Bedrock Edition. I personally hate the redstone in Bedrock Edition. I am pretty mixed feelings about the whole thing, but there are things in Bedrock Edition that are pretty nice. One thing in particular is the fact that I'll go ahead and just take pistons right now and redstone. And then let's do a observer. Okay. Whoops. So, and then a grass block. Here's one reason why I like Bedrock Edition. That right there. That is super nice. I can make very tight, compressed structures using redstone dust because they feed directly into pistons and other components, such as the observer. Super nice. Reasons why I don't like Minecraft Bedrock Edition. You see that? That's not supposed to happen, not with a sticky piston. This is called a one-tick sticky. Usually what happens is if this triggers, then the block will be moved over here and stay there even though this is a sticky piston because an observer relays out one tick of redstone. Then if we do this again, it does that again. And you see there is a reason why it works this way, and that is the fact that Bedrock Edition has two global timers, one for redstone and one for updating blocks. The one that updates blocks is frame dependent, and the one that updates redstone is a little bit more complicated. It's completely linear, always counting the same amount of time, but will only truly update depending on frames. So because of this, we end up getting some lag when it comes to one ticks. Depending on how laggy the world is, depends on how much redstone is given out of a one tick of redstone. It's super complicated, but we just gotta look out for that. All right. So I play on Bedrock Edition because I can join all my friends, all my family, and because of that, I am limited to the capabilities of this. But it's super simple to like understand how to use Redstone in Bedrock Edition. Java Edition with its quirks and uniquenesses, it can be very complicated when you get into many things in it. Okay, let's see, what shall we make first? I guess we should first test with comparators if a clock on an item frame can actually relay redstone. Now I know that a clock, like anything in an item frame, puts some redstone behind it. But we'll see. Okay, so we have one stick right there. If I remove that, obviously nothing. If I put a redstone on it, it's also one. Okay, let's change the time of day. Time set. I guess I'll use the simple commands. Not there. Here we go. Time, always day is enabled. I guess that makes sense. We'll go ahead and turn that off then. Let's see here. Should be under just general, right? Under game. Always day. Always day. Always day. I probably went past it already. Tile drop, small blue. Show coordinates. Always day. There we go. Or I can turn, interesting. I see. So I can turn that off. That's nice to know. Yep, that's right. Never knew that. Time, let's do sunrise. See if that changes anything. Looks like it's not changing anything. Okay, so that will be a little complicated there. I can't get exact inputs of the daylight cycle there. Well, let's see if an observer can observe the changes. Let's see if we do noon, for instance. Nope, it doesn't observe that at all. Okay. Let's see, to prevent us from experiencing the day go by, let's go ahead and activate that do daylight cycle. Let's turn that off. There we go. Get the sun directly above us. Well, that's disappointing. Looks like we'll have to do some sort of a daylight sensor, maybe a night sensor. We'll see. I know I've created a sunset timer on one of these before. Let's let's do one of the simpler ones. I'm kind of running out of time, so let's do the memory clock. We can easily do that by having a piston and having it feed as like so. Now, another nice thing about Bedrock Edition that you guys will soon see, let's have something other than, let's do some red wool, wherever the wool may be. There we are. So normally on Bedrock or on Java Edition, if you were to power a piston like this, and then have a redstone torch powering that also, then it will remain powered. But since we're not playing on Java Edition, it doesn't do that. Instead, on Bedrock Edition, only powering the bottom part of the piston actually makes it function. So this is how this project works. We simply, I guess I should color code all of these. Let's do orange, the next color of the rainbow. With this setup, all we have to do is feed through this hopper with the redstone signal coming out. So for instance, I like to do non-stackable items. So let's just do 2 swords. If I were to put them in here, then they get sent out over there. But if I were to use a lever, then they'll get, right now they're being sent back and forth. If I do this, then they collect down here. And then once I release this, then they go back. So let's see. We can also make this resource friendly by adding a barrel here instead. The reason why we do that is because a hopper will move items into the barrel, and then the hopper underneath the barrel will take the items out of the barrel. So this functions exactly the same way. Now let's go ahead and load up this item hopper all the way. Now if we see here, the items are gonna be dropping down. This is a hopper clock. Very simple thing though. Depending on the length you want the clock to go for, depends on how many items you put in here. Now, I'm wondering if this will be too little redstone, you know? Maybe we want the timer to be longer than just 5 fully stacked pieces of redstone, you know? If that's the case, then we might want to have this, once it reaches its max capacity, feed it to another system, another item clock. We can do that just by doing that. As it feeds through, we'll go ahead and see exactly where the redstone maxes out to. Looks like we might need even more. And there are better ways from doing this, but this, again, this is the testing world. So we're just doing as much garbage looking stuff as we can do. Let's see. So I wonder if the last piece of redstone is going to make a change with the signal at all. Okay, now we're moved on to there. We're on the final stack. So I'm going to want to make, I believe it's not going to go any longer than that. So we're right there, going to reach there. Okay, and we've reached there now. And once all of these are added in, oh, perfect, it fully sends. Okay, so this right here is equivalent to a full item hopper. That is good to know. So somewhere in here, we might want some key checkpoints for the system to read up on. Like obviously, if it's all the way over here, it's going to be sad. But maybe it shouldn't get sad that soon. And maybe I'll feed it into another system, which will just activate this one again. And I can just have those copied over and over again. But we'll go ahead and stop that here for now. Let's go ahead and see if a cauldron can fill up with water while it rains. I'm positive it can, if I remember correctly, but never truly know. Let's do weather, have it rain. And of course, this may take a while. I'm not too savvy with the commands. Oh, look at that. Didn't take a while at all. It's already filling up. Okay, so with that, I believe we can take a comparator and it will read exactly when it fills up with water. So all we'll need to do is detect exactly when it fills up with water, which would be right there, just like that. And then that will go into the Cerebro system and boom, it's raining. Now, in order to get water out of this, I already have one definitive answer for it, but we got to test and see. Because this part might be more complicated, but we'll see. So what happens if we move a cauldron? Okay, it remains its length of water. Okay, so it looks like the system will have to use is a dispenser with an empty bucket. Let's go ahead and add that here and we'll just quickly make sure that it works. It doesn't work, it's because it's not a full cauldron, huh? So it has to reach its full length. And usually when it's raining, unless we go to bed right away, then it's not going to reach its full length. It will eventually reach its full length, I mean. Okay, now it has reached its full length, and I still don't get water from it. Very interesting. So dispensers cannot obtain water from cauldrons. That's a good note. So there goes my rain idea. Of course, I'll brainstorm as I'm working today. That's majority of my ideas for projects like this comes either when you're in the shower, you're driving a car, or while you're working, right? That's how it always ends up being. So in this case, I'll leave it to that, and I'll go ahead and make it stop raining. Lol, I changed the weather to rain. I think CEO of Thai Laboratory, Thai Guy Can Fly, should just edit his videos, edit all the nothing that happens during his videos. That's what everyone's thinking right now, huh? I simply don't have enough time to edit videos. I'm sorry, y'all. Barely have enough time to record these videos. But I hope as you watch these, you get to learn how to use redstone. Or, I guess, CEO to employee, you and I, don't copy and paste like ideas and projects you find on YouTube or from other people. That doesn't make it any fun. That's just control C, control V, you know, and you don't get to learn anything from it. Instead, it's way more fun, way more satisfying to finish a project if you know that you've started it on your own from finish to end. And of course, having others work with you makes things a whole lot easier. Like if I had more members on my team working on this, one could be trying to finish this up, while another can be figure out how to get the water out of this cauldron, and it would go by a lot faster. But that's just my little tip of the day. Take that as you will. I probably have time to test on one more thing, and I'm trying to determine what I want. Maybe it should be the display. Let's go ahead and get just all the basic redstone things here. Um, I don't know if I'm going to want comparators or anything, but my idea is the 2 by 2 pixel. So we know that if you were to power a redstone lamp directly, like so, guess I should grab a lever every single time I do this, then it will color in the circle all around it. This is not what I want to do, but I want to minimalize it to this 4 by 4 area here. Trying to ponder what I've seen on YouTube, and yes, you can call back to me saying, but the CEO said that I shouldn't copy YouTube tutorials and stuff. Well, I mean, you should follow tutorials, but promise me that you'll gain some knowledge on that. But what I've seen in YouTube is displays that look like this, and that's not pretty. I don't like that at all. I'd much rather have an entire screen compressed together like this. But I don't want that to happen right there. So we could, of course, avoid this by simply, well, powering the block that it's tied to. However, that means that we have to power all of these without having redstone come across this, because we could do that, right? We could do this, and then we can have it come down like this. Super simple, he says as he's trying to get the redstone torch to power that. But the problem with this system is once we place more blocks and components on here, then it's gonna interfere with the other systems like that. And that's not what we want. So let's go ahead and brainstorm some ideas here. I'll go ahead and have, let's say we want to power these four right here. So I need a system that can fit in this structure, power those four, but not power anything else. Let's see. I can go a simpler route. Like I already have an idea in my head. Though it wouldn't be, actually, okay, this is how I power a lot of things. Is it resourceful? Not at all. Uses a lot of pistons. However, over-engineering benefits us during times of crisis. So what we can do, I need my red wool again. There you are. Okay, this piece of redstone is going to power those two. And this piece of redstone is going to power all four. But again, we can't just have those connect together because then we get a long stream. So what we're going to have to do, and I just realized I need to place these pistons just one step closer. There we go. And I also want to make sure that each one of these pistons are going to power at the same time altogether. So let's see. So I could, that would require me to go down though. And if I go down, then that will be, yeah, that's not going to work. Let's see, I got to make sure I do this before I have to get off. Let's make just a working prototype. Let's see, I can divide up the work. I was thinking if like this one piece of redstone can somehow power all of it, then I can have it separate. Just copy and paste it like that over and over again. That would be nice. But I can't figure out how to do that. Maybe if I have two different ways to power all of these and kind of make like a checkered pattern, you know? That's how I do my item sorting systems. So let's say that I do this for one, and then in order to power all of these again without interfering with this, that will require redstone to come down though. Oh, and then we have like a stripe. Interesting. Okay, this might work. So we can go like this, and then like that, except that will power that, so we don't want to do that. Um, maybe this one's also a bit too tight. There's got to be a way to do this, surely. At the end, I want there to be a grid similar to this, so that I power like just this block, and then it powers that pixel on the other side. Let's see here. Let's get rid of this idea. Let's go with, is there any way? There isn't any way. Without going up or down, just going straight across. Let's see, if I were to use copper bulbs instead of redstone lamps, then I could just peck at them. I guess what I should do, what I mean by peck, by the way, is just send one simple signal of redstone over to it. So let's go ahead and find where the crap the copper bulbs are. There they are. Let's use, probably want the bright. Okay, now there's different ways that we can go about this. My idea is using observers. I guess I should just do that. Okay, now every single time we place something on these observers, then they'll send info, which is not what we want to do. So the thing with observers, what we can actually do is have just normal pistons. Oh yeah, this is perfect. So look, we just get normal pistons, and let's get our wool back again, please. Thank you. I don't need the observer anymore. And then we just do that. And like, there we go. That solves it all. Check this out. So this block right here, when powered on, will power that. Powered off, we'll turn it off. Look at that. That's sweet. That's awesome. That just means I have to change to these lamps, and that requires a lot of pistons and a lot of observers. Like as big as the display is, let's go ahead and let's do a quick, simple display. How many pixels should this be? Probably, let's do 4 pixels. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at how large this is. Let's fill this in real quick. All right. Next, I need the observers. See, and this is where it gets complicated. Oh, come on. Why can't I, like, fly up and stack? Oh, that's so annoying. Again, I don't really like bedrock, but I have no choice. Looks like I'm going to have to get rid of all of these, but let's leave the last one just so that I know. Okay, I could do that, sure. This was a waste of time. I'm sorry, Hal. Be patient with me. Okay, let's go ahead. And it only works when I want to. Another thing that I don't like too much about Bedrock Edition is when flying in creative mode, it's like an accelerated force. What that means is you see how like I start moving forward and like for 1 second, like I move slowly but then gradually increase speed. To me, that never made too much sense in a creative mode standpoint since you want your uh, things like movements to be very precise. And it doesn't make too much sense to have an accelerated speed. I just don't really like accelerated speeds in games, honestly. Makes things harder. Okay, so we have this now, and we can just simply create a line. I believe it's the accelerated speed that is preventing me from fully doing that. Okay, and then we have this weird line, but it can be taken out by simply doing this. Very simple stuff. There we go. And then we just place 1 wool every other piston. And you can see the pattern we have made. We've kind of did like a 4 to 1, like a logarithm, I think is what you'd call that. Not a logarithm, the opposite of an exponential. I guess a square root. That's what I meant to say. So boom, there's my control panel right there. How nice. So we'll go ahead and add these levers on here, and you can see that if we were to imagine each one of these levels as a pixel, we can make things with it. So let's say I want to make a smiley face. Let's do a smiley face. So I can do this and put the eyes up there. And if we come up and around, we'll see a complete mess. And that is because the switches are powering the ones underneath. Oh, that's so super funny. Nothing that, let's see, it's a good thing that that's not actually gonna cause problems to the build. It only causes problems to giving a direct redstone signal to the block. So you don't want to power the block unless we do this. Yeah, there we go. this way we can power the block. Looks like I missed a piece of redstone there. Okay. Whoops, that's the wrong mouse button. CEO, are you sure that you play video games? Absolutely. I'm just under pressure of being recorded while I make all of these now. I'm totally kidding. Maybe. Maybe. All right, let's go ahead and make our smiley face for reals this time. So if we were to do this, then we'll have the smile, and if we do this and we have like squinting eyes, like, yeah, it looks like a cyclops. Let's see if we can make a more animated smile. If we like do that, that would be a goofy eye placement. Yeah. Let's do like a side smile. Like yeah. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of that Roblox face. But so here's my problem now. Look at how big this display is. In reality, I'm gonna want my display to probably be like one more pixel on each side. I think so. Let's quickly add these up. Oops. There we go. And I'm not gonna add the copper bulbs just yet, because you guys saw what happens if we add those immediately. They'll just get powered and I'll have to erase them anyway. Okay. So this is a bit more like it. This right here is a 5x5. For my kids though, I use a 7x7 display. So if I were going to do that, I would have to add a lot more. Just a lot more. Believe me, this is already a lot. But I think it will be worth it. I think it will be very satisfying in the end when I have a working computer in Minecraft that tells me the time. I can have a virtual pet on it. It will show me the moon phases. That's something I'm really excited for. Let's see, we'll go ahead and turn those on, and we'll come down here and turn that on, and you'll see the signature kid face. Yeah, this is my signature face I use when I make my kind intelligence demonstrations. So on a normal monitor that I create, a normal display for something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, all the resources would be cut in half, and I'll just be stuck with that. I really should use buttons for this. There we go. See, the little red piece just simply means the bulb is still being powered, but we can just turn off all those and they'll remain on. Look at that. So I do really like this. If I were to change this at all, I would want to use lamps because lamps are cheaper to build. They require glowstone and not blaze rods. However, if I find a trial chamber, I could just loot all the resources from it. But if I want a 7x7 display, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to get a lot of bulbs. But not just a lot of bulbs, but a lot of pistons and a lot of observers. The same amount of bulbs I use will be the same amount of observers I'll need. And it would make things easier if I could simply find how to make just normal redstone use just the very basic redstone components like torches, dust, and I would even settle with comparators. Even though observers use a quartz, If I could get it down to where one comparator equals 4 pixels instead of one quartz equals 1 pixel, then that will work out. But in the meantime, I think that will be everything for today. I have to get ready for work and go to work. This is what we worked on, and I plan on doing some more of these recordings in the future. But I hope that you guys learned something from this. I know I sure did. Quite a lot, actually. A lot of disappointments, but we'll figure it out together. Anyways, this is your CEO signing out.